This is Outside the Round with Matt Burrill, a Raise Rowdy podcast.
Well, welcome back to Outside the Round, guys, with Matt Burrill. Today, a very special episode of my boys. First time meeting this guy, the cooker of deliciousness himself, Mr. Matt Ramsey, and my man Brooks Black, Big Rig, who I've been at war with in the bars, fellow Whiskey Row survivor. Oh, yeah. Fellas, good to see you guys. How we doing today?
Good to be here, man.
Hell yeah, dude. It's good to fucking see you,
I haven't
dog.
seen it. It's been a few years.
It's been since COVID.
Yeah, since
COVID. Since the pandemic. So I want to know the story of kind of how you two got together. How does Matt meet Brooks and you guys with Kentucky and whatnot?
Well, long story short, my son wrestles. We live in Owensboro, Kentucky. Decided to make the move. You know, Brooks coaches at Union County, which is the powerhouse of wrestling in Kentucky. And my son's got goals, and we're going there to wrestle next year. So packed up and moved to Union County and became friends with Brooks, and here we are.
Wild. Crazy.
The power of wrestling. So how old is your son?
He will be a junior, 16.
So the power of high school wrestling, dude. So I didn't wrestle. I come from New York.
I didn't either.
I come from New York, where it is a big deal. And I had buddies that went to small colleges in Iowa to go and wrestle. Did the long days in the wrestling room where it's 120 degrees or 100 however high the coaches like Brooks can get it
right
to drop weight and just the grind of it. But there's something special about the wrestling parents, the wrestling community. It teaches you so much. And this bond, because a lot of my buddies' parents growing up are still friends with our high school wrestling coach from our high school, or the college wrestling coach, or the people that taught just the random nights that were wrestling room nights or whatever. Like, there's just a community to it. So it's cool to see that it's like that in Kentucky too.
It's wild, man. You know, Matt, we've talked back when we first met, we're, being from Pennsylvania, but went to high school in New Jersey, and then we started throwing names out there, and it's like, well, I knew this guy, and just where the community of wrestling brings you to. Like I said, I haven't seen you in a few years, but yet I meet Matt, and then Matt's like, hey, I know this Matt, and I'm like, wait, hold up, like, this one of my good buddies, like, I used to stay with him all the time. And then when he had said this opportunity, he's like, hey, do you want to come down to Nashville with me? I was like, dude, I'm all in. Like, I haven't seen Matt in so long. Like, dude, some of the stuff we went through, like,
yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the story of how it all came about is really nuts. I mean, like, you had 060 on.
Yeah.
So 060 is local to where I live. The bass player, his mom was one of my best friends in nursing school. I've known him since he was in diapers. The lead singer, I went to high school with his uncle. He was a buddy of mine. And I liked that video of your podcast with him. You contacted me. And then I saw that you followed Brooks, and I was like, dude, how you know Brooks Black?
That's crazy.
And then it was like, it is a small world.
It's crazy how it all lines up. And the old 60 boys, dude, they just announced their fall tour. They're going all over the U.S. They were just in D.C. They were just in Pennsylvania. See the rocket ship that they're on and the music that's coming out of Kentucky right now is absurd. And it's always been there. It's the bluegrass state for a reason. Like, it's always been there. But those old 60 boys, and they rep Hancock County.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm a Hancock County boy.
Yeah, whenever I introduced them on stage,
Yep.
Because their first full band show ever was with us at fucking Winners. It was our first full band showcase.
That's wild.
Their first ever time in Nashville, we had Jacob on stage, Jacob Young, playing our acoustic writers' nights at Live Oak. And that was his first time ever, like, performing in front of people. Because before that, they were all working at the pizza shop.
Right.
And jamming at the pizza shop after hours.
I worked there in high school for a period of time, too.
You did, too.
Which was a long time ago. Those boys.
Galaxy Pizza?
Galaxy Pizza. Those guys may have not even been a thought yet.
And they went from the pizza shop to Nashville, but they had me make sure that whenever I would introduce them, to say from Hancock County.
Yeah.
They always rep, like, ask them where they're from. They say Hancock County, Kentucky.
Yep.
And there's just such a pride that comes with that part of Kentucky, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I tell you,
Awesome.
like, they're opening for Zach Bryan in Atlanta next month. I just spent a lot of money on floor seats to go to that concert.
Well, I'll reach out between your family network and my network, because we know their team incredibly well. We were even talking Tyler Little, who's involved with them.
Yeah.
And that you and I met Tyler around that same time, because I first met Tyler during COVID through Adam Scott.
Yeah, and like I said, I met him at a birthday party. I showed up in Webster County. I didn't know anybody there but Jacob Winters. And they're playing under a tent, and then Tyler shows up, and we're all hanging out. And then from there on, like, I'd be like, hey, Tyler, you want to, you trying to hang out, man? Like, him and Adam, and then they'd come down to my crawfish boils, and it's wild. Like, this is insane. Just the silliness of this whole thing, like when you talked about Live Oak, not to jump ship, but like you're talking about Live Oak with Old 60. What popped into my head was when I showed up with my 2 bags of deer jerky at the writers round with Carly and Ethan and Dave and everybody.
So we've been doing the writers' nights at Live Oak for a long time. We have my last one there on Tuesday next week. It's the final one because Live Oak is closing that location, moving to another spot. We're going to be shifting all of our stuff over to Losers.
Gotcha.
They're redoing Winners. It's about to be like the largest sports book in Nashville. It's going to be fucking expanding the stage. It's going to be awesome. So that's where all of our events are going to be, which is really cool. But there was one day during COVID, one night.
It was actually New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve. It was super cold. I still got the pictures of all of us together when we all took the pictures over by the couch.
Yeah.
And it was our crew.
Yeah, it was New Year's Eve going into 2020.
Okay.
Before the world shut down. Because it was like 2019.
Yes.
Fall, winter of 2019 was when you first got, right? Was it 2019 or was it?
No, 2020. 2020, because 2019 was when I first met you guys.
So the couch was there in 2020.
Yeah, I still have the pictures of all of us.
So it was New Year's Eve going in before the pandemic.
Yeah, before the pandemic.
Live Oak used to have this, back when it was Frisky Frogs, it used to be the shithole bar that you could get into with a Pokemon card. Like, it was the underage college bar. They were trying to serve like the Cajun thing.
Yeah.
And they just weren't doing the Cajun thing right. They were trying to serve like alligator bites and all this stuff. And it just wasn't done right. And it was just bad. But they had a couch that would sit, they'd have the stage, and then there'd be all like the bar stools, like the tables and stuff. But then there was this random couch that was like the closest seat to the stage. It was a little love seat that was all dingy because they would do DJ nights with all the college kids and get all dirty. But yeah, we did. And then they moved that over to the side area.
Yeah. You know what? Keep talking. I'm going to pull this up.
They moved that over to the side area. And yeah, we would have rounds, and we had a Delta 8 sponsor during COVID. And we would give out Delta 8 to anybody that showed up. The entire room would be high. And the bar owners were cool with it. Hasten loved the shit.
I didn't tell you guys. I didn't tell anybody I was showing up.
And then he shows up, and we knew that he was on like 100, like he was out killing shit. It was in season, or it was just, I think it was middle of the deer season, or
The
like
season was just coming out, and I didn't tell anybody. I packed up with it was actually my now wife. I think I packed up, and I just remember walking in, and I was holding up both bags of jerky like this, and everybody just kind of like looked, and I think maybe Jake or Dave, somebody's like, oh shit! They're like, it was Dave. They're like, shit, Riggs here, man.
We talked about his deer jerky on the way down here. It's funny.
It's so good. It was so good. I still remember that jerky.
Yeah, I said, I'm gonna find this picture.
Everybody would come and get and drink and eat the food at Live Oak and whatever, and get the Delta 8. And then that night was different because of all the jerky. Oh shit!
There you go.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. There's Joey, who plays in John Morgan, who's with John. Dave, who's tour managing John Morgan. Ethan Willis, longtime buddy. There's Big Rig. Jake Arch, Jamie, Dakota, Cody Bradley, who's actually playing our final night at Live Oak next week, who we met at Live Oak. Yeah, what a photo. Yeah, because that was around Christmas time, because they still got the Christmas tree up in the background.
Yeah,
that's fucking wild. Yeah, look at that picture.
And that was the night that the shit show went on for like way too long, and I saw all of us up on the stage.
Oh yeah. That's right. That was when our night would finish. So our events would go from there'd be 4 slots of like 3 or 4 people each, like the acoustic thing. And this is what we had Jacob do when he first came to town. And it would be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We're done by 11. Right. Back in those days, we used to call it the post-show shit show. And anybody that wanted to come on stage, it would turn into an open mic, and the bar would just stay open.
Oh yeah,
and just go all freaking night. And yeah, that was one of those. It went all night, and it was a long, it was crazy
long.
night.
Sometimes John Kraft was there quite a bit. Taylor Phillips was there quite a bit whenever that was going on. That was, like you said, as soon as you said Live Oak, in which we go to Live Oak all the time, I still talk to Hasten quite a bit.
Yeah.
But when you said Live Oak, I was like, that was the night. I didn't tell any of you guys I was coming, because that was when we still were all in the Snap group together.
Yeah.
We all talked quite a bit.
Yeah, we had the Snap group, bro.
I'm too old for Snap. Like my kids would be appalled if I got a Snapchat.
Oh, dude, you should do it just to mess with them.
I did for like 2 days, and I was like, I don't understand this, and I deleted it, which is funny because I make my living on social media. So
yeah, dude, that's fucking wild. So tell me about Cooker of the. How did Deliciousness? How did all this stuff start?
Man, it's really a crazy story, and it's so like I've been a nurse for 20 years. cardiac cath labs.
God bless you for that, man.
Yeah, it's a great job. Work with the best people, man, in that field. You all got to be a little messed up in the head with deal with the stuff that you deal with. But so I have a buddy who is a nurse as well. We work together. He does woodworking on social media, and he was blowing up. And I would just like cook random stuff. And like, first off, like, I'm not a chef by any means. I'm just like the guy that goes to work and then comes home and drinks beer and cooks. And like, I mess stuff up. Like, but anyway, he was like, dude, you know, like you put all this stuff on your Facebook, your private Facebook. He's like, start posting on TikTok. He's like, try it. And like, I was hesitant. And then finally, like, it was December 27th, 2020. I made my first TikTok video and I was like, this is going viral. And I still don't think it's got 1,000 views to this day. But I'm a persistent person. And like, I just kept on. And then finally I started to get some traction and I got to like 10,000 followers. And like, I asked my wife in a video one night, I was like, I've always wanted like a big dog. And I either wanted a chocolate lab or a Rhodesian Ridgeback. And I told my wife, I was like,
Ridgeback's a commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Like either I wanted a pug or I wanted a Rottweiler.
Oh, I just like they're just the most beautiful dogs, though. You know, it's like
fucking big.
yeah. Probably a little bit too much energy for me now. But I asked my wife on a video. I was like, "How many followers do I have to get a dog?" And she was like, 100,000. Oh. And so like it wasn't like a couple months later, like it was rolling in on my birthday, and I hit 100,000. And I was like, I hit 100,000, and she was like, I already had it set up. We're going to pick out your dog next week. So we went and picked out my dog on my birthday.
What'd you end up with?
I ended up with a English chocolate lab.
Okay.
And his name is I'm a huge Tyler Childers fan. So we named him Squire from Country Squire. I wanted something different.
Yeah.
So, and his middle name's Maximus, and that's more because I love the movie Gladiator, and you know, it's so something. So we call him Squire. Well, most of the time I call him Asso, but or Butthead, but he's a great dog, and like honestly, like he was the motivation for me to keep it going, and now I don't know how it's turned into what it's turned into, but it's
Squire Maximus.
Ramsey.
Maximus,
yeah.
Squire Maximus Ramsey.
He's an awful good boy.
Yeah, I was just up at Matt's. Was that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Me and our I call him my uncle, but Robert came up and we were looking at. He was wanting to get something, looking at something for his house with grilling and stuff like that. So I got to meet Squire.
Yeah. Yep.
And he is indeed a good boy.
He's a thick boy. He likes to eat.
Thick.
Yeah.
Do you feed him the scraps?
He sits at my feet and like waits for stuff to fall on the floor. And like if something hits the floor, like I can't tell you how many times he's knocked my tripod over when I'm trying to film, trying to get to it.
Matt, you got to tell him your video the other day of people commenting. I think it's your Choco Taco video of Squire in the background, like lapping up water.
Yeah,
so loud.
It was so loud which I'm a heavy breather anyway, and it's but so you hear that on there, but then you just hear this like I had to put a caption of dog violently drinking water in the background.
Dude,
because
it's so loud in this video.
It like drowns out everything.
Where is this? Is it on TikTok?
Yeah, it's on all of them, but yeah, it's Choco Taco. It actually went viral. The video did. Well, I say viral. It got over 1 million views, but it's pretty funny.
It is funny, like because if you're watching the video, you just hear Squire in the back.
I felt like I had to describe it, otherwise people are gonna be like, "What?" They might have been more engagement if I let it be and be like, "What the hell is going on in the background there?"
Which one would it be? I'm just seeing all these powerful meats right now. I'm just like, fuck. Because I do like the food reviews. Oh wow. Oh shit! Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's insane.
Yeah, I found those by chance and had a like quick thought, and it turned
and you
out
were
to
like,
be a big
oh,
video.
Jeez. The Great Value brand, yes, yeah. the best. I want to get the dog audio on here. You have to have Ike throw the video in here. Oh, no wonder it sounds like kibble. No wonder he's coming running over.
You'll hear it like very distinctly.
Ooh.
It's not really until you get it. I think it's
towards the end.
Yeah, about halfway through.
Dude, it sounds so good. Oh, I hear him. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Boy is thirsty.
He's a thirsty boy. He's going to town.
Boy is thirsty. Those look sick though. That looks awesome. I'm gonna have to fucking figure it out. I don't know how to cook. That's what my girlfriend does.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Dude, so
She
super
loves to
cool.
cook.
And I'll jump in on Matt for here. So we have a wrestling camps every summer, and we bring in like high level coaches, Division I coaches, right? So Matt had hollered at me. He's like, "Hey, dude, like I got to shoot some videos, but I'd love to cook lunch for you guys because we usually go down to like our 2 places we have in Union County that you like is worth the shit to eat at. So Country Fresh, which is our barbecue place, and Matt's like, "Hey, man, like I'll bring some food to you guys. Like you guys can eat lunch." So we get an hour lunch, and then that second session we call it we call it spit and blood because like it's hard, and we have 150 kids there. So it's myself, our assistant, our other co-head coach, and we had Kevin Jack, who was a multiple-time All-American for NC State, he's from New York.
Okay.
So we had them, a few other coaches were there. Matt, we like walk in. Matt has this whole setup, and we're all like looking at each other like, dude, we are not going to be able to wrestle this second session, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and like when I don't take a go off when we start going live. We wrestle live for an hour.
Yeah.
And so he cooked these teriyaki ribs, cheesesteak tortellini, and then he made these cheesy bread. Dude, it was like we just kept going back, and we're like, Matt, these are unreal. We get done, we're like looking at our clock, we're like, guys, we start second session in like 10 minutes. We're all sitting there. We're like, oh my gosh, dude, this is not good. Like, it was so good, but at the same time, like, this is going to be terrible. We're trying to run and wrestle with high school kids and wrestle for an hour. I mean, it's a full hour of live wrestling on a full stomach of, I probably ate half a rack of ribs, if not a full rack of ribs in 20 minutes.
I cooked like 4 racks, I think.
Yeah, plus cheesesteak tortellini.
Ugh.
Dude, it was the best food I've ever had, and we're like telling Matt how good it was, and all of us like, they're like, and you get these kids are all excited, they're like, Coach, we want to wrestle you in this 2-minute go, and you're sitting there just like, you can feel like the rib coming back.
Oh, yeah.
coming back.
We're just
up.
gonna let y'all run for an hour.
Yeah, like
okay?
y'all run. but
They're
yeah.
like, now's our chance to get him.
Yeah,
Now's our chance
Yeah.
to take him
We
down.
might
and
get
some
vomited on.
points.
yeah. So that was like my first time really getting to try Matt. Dude, it was unreal. The teriyaki ribs were unbelievable.
I appreciate it, man.
They
Yeah.
sound. So, have you competed in like any cooking things? Have you thought about getting a food truck?
No, and that's what like people all the time are like, you need to get a food truck, you need to open a restaurant and stuff. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, social media is pretty profitable if you do it right, and it's been a blessing to me and my family. It's allowed us, to wrestle at Union County. We couldn't afford to do the things that we're doing, and it's. I'm not saying I won't go that route at some point, maybe do some catering or something, but right now it's just the social media and just trying to like grow and network, and I just love to cook and have a good time and enjoy life, and like I'm that guy, like I don't have to be rich. I just want to make enough money to enjoy my life, and I'm good. Like travel. I got a great story about traveling our vacation last month. Like you start to meet some people who are like pretty big in the world, and like we went out on a 10-day vacation out west, and I work with a Wagyu beef company called Rowdy Acres.
Oh, nice.
And that is owned by, if you're a UFC fan, Travis Brown, the heavyweight.
Oh, no shit.
So,
He was married to Ronda Rousey.
yeah, he's married to Ronda. So, like, Travis, me and Travis have become good buddies. And so we went to their...
absurd.
Yeah, we went to their ranch and stayed overnight. I got to cook twice for Ronda. And let me tell you, like, she's like the nicest person in the world. Like, it was a great experience. And we're talking about, like, Travis is from Hawaii originally. Me and the wife might go out there next year and
cook something in Hawaii.
Yeah,
dude,
well, so-
mix in some pineapple and shit.
yeah,
Make it Hawaiian.
we'll do a collab. So Travis's best friend owns a food truck there. It's called
Ooh.
Meat and Buns Hawaii. You should check it out on Instagram. They really have a
Yeah.
great page. Claude. So we're gonna do a little collab together and with the food in Hawaii and maybe bring a little Kentucky flair to it.
Dude,
And
I love that.
I
it'll
make
be a great
Matt
time.
tell like he keeps me. I'm like, dude, let me know like how because I forget where we were, and we were talking, and I'm like, dude, let me know how this trip goes. Like, I want to know, And then he made his little post, and we were riding down here. I'm like, dude, how was that trip? He's like, oh, it's unbelievable.
It was awesome, man. It was
Yeah.
like they're great people. They're regular people who just like just like you and I, you like just sit in the kitchen and conversate with them like normal
Yeah.
people. But it's like you see these people on TV all the time, and it's like it's hard to understand that they are just regular people because you only see them in one light.
Yeah.
And but yeah, just good people. Glad to be friends with them. Glad to represent their brand. Rowdy Acres is like they are very passionate about the product they put out. It's like they use regenerative farming, so American Wagyu and full-blooded Wagyu beef, very high quality. It's so good. And then all their chickens are pasture raised, so they're not pipe full of antibiotics
Yeah.
and steroids and stuff. And yeah.
That's awesome. Who would have thought when you make that first video and
Yeah.
you're trying to get to 100K for a dog, which is just ridiculous to say
Yeah, it
out
is
loud,
silly.
but so fucking true.
But how all this too, like with the wrestling, like I was telling Robert, I'm like, and different people, I'm like even my cousin back in Pennsylvania, I'm like, dude, because I saw he liked Matt's stuff, and I'm like, dude, like I know this guy. I'm like, I literally know him.
What's been like the craziest interaction that's come from it, or somebody that's following? We were like, oh shit.
Well, I'll tell you what's pretty cool. So, like I told you, a huge Tyler Childers fan. December 30th, he played at Rupp, and my daughter's Christmas present. So my whole family, that's something that we bond over is music.
Amen.
And so my wife and my daughter and I went to Tyler Childers at Rupp. We splurged for the VIP area, so we got to go in early and eat and then sit on the floor. My wife's in the restroom, and me and my daughter are standing out there waiting for her, and a guy comes up to me. He's like, man, I love your videos. And I was like, it just took me by surprise for a second. And he's like, I follow you on Instagram. I was like, dude, I really appreciate that. Like, and so like, I like this guy, he asked me for a picture and stuff, like the nicest guy in the world. And it's just like, it's super weird to like get recognized in public occasionally, which, you know, it doesn't happen often, but like when it does, it's just like kind of like takes you by surprise. And then like, I'll tell you, like, I've got a buddy, like, when I was a nurse, he was one of our reps for a product that we use. He was in Charlotte, North Carolina with his wife, and they were sitting at a random restaurant eating lunch, and he texted me, he's like, dude, the table next to us is talking about you. And I was like, man, I hope they're talking good. He's like, yeah, they're talking good. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But, you know, that being said, you get a lot of criticism as well. Like, that's
the
when
keyboard warriors.
There
right?
are,
We
yeah,
there
just
are,
talked
there
about
are
this, too.
haters on your
Oh my
cooking.
god, we literally.
How are there haters on your cooking?
Dude, everyone's got an opinion. You got to have thick skin in this. And like I said, I'm no chef. I screw stuff up all the time. Like, you know,
How could you hate on like the Choco Taco thing, like the different things like that? Like
everyone's
one
like,
of the comments was like you're not even using real chocolate or something, like something silly,
yeah.
like
everybody's like, it's a waffle cone, not a corn tortilla.
yeah,
I'm like,
that's what it was.
like
Yeah,
you
something
got to
like
take
this.
what you can get. Like, well, they don't make choco tacos anymore. You know, it's like,
Yeah, like that's so funny. We're like talking about this stuff on the way down is like just opinionated people, because it's the same in sports and wrestling. Like you get a guy who's eating Cheetos on the couch who weighs 500 pounds sitting there talking about a guy who's just made it to the Olympics or, you know, won the Olympics. He's like, he's not even that good,
Yeah.
you know, or something like that. We're talking about like the food,
Yeah.
and you get these keyboard warriors who are like, that's not, you're not supposed to use that for this. And it's like, you're probably sitting at home not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like everybody has that opinion, but like when you get face to face with somebody like that, they're not going to say that to you.
Yeah, we see that in music all the time.
bet.
We see that especially within country music right now with all the different subgenres and people. There's different ways to kind of create and make the wheel, where you have folks that are a little bit more on the popular side. People are like, man, that ain't country. And then you've got like people that are a little bit more rock. Even like people like criticizing like Old 60, for example. Like, that ain't country. It's like, have you ever been to fucking Hancock County?
Right.
And like these boys are literally
hey, call it what you
from
want.
the
It's
woods.
damn good music.
Exactly. That's that just like that. It's damn good food. It's damn good wrestling.
Yeah.
Like it's just the keyboard warriors get exhausting.
I think people are just like, you have some people that are just miserable in their own lives, and I don't know if it makes them feel better to deflect that on the internet or whatever. My opinion has always been like, there's a lot of stuff I see on social media that I don't like. I scroll past it.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
if I see something I like, I'll leave an encouraging comment.
Yeah,
you know?
and there's other sites like with Raised Rowdy, obviously we cover and talk about a lot of music, a lot of things that are in Nashville, and there's a lot of pages that talk negatively about stuff. It's like, why waste your time and energy talking negative about something when you can spend even more energy talking about? You could talk about another 2 or 3 things that you think are positive versus spend all that negative energy. It's
Well,
like, what
now the guy's
fuck?
scrolling. He's like, hold up. I'm going back up. Cooker of Delicious. That's not a waffle
And the
cone.
and the
I
bet-
have
yeah.
to say something.
That son of a bitch is using a corn tortilla. You know, like,
And the best part is that's just feeding the algorithm more.
Yeah.
The
No,
comments. Hey,
all engagement is good engagement.
Bro, isn't it crazy? Like, get on there and comment
Yeah.
and talk your shit. I'll take an extra 40 comments.
I'll guarantee it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'll comment to people. A lot of times they keep being negative. I'm like, you're just putting money in my pocket, and I appreciate you. You know what I mean? You have a great day.
What's the wildest experiment you've done on the page? What's the one where you're like, I can't believe I did that?
Man, I don't know. I do a lot of experiments that never make the social media. Like, you screw a lot of stuff up. I do a lot of comfort food.
It's the best kind.
Yeah, no, it is
The best kind.
and that's the thing is like I've gained a lot of weight in the last few years because I had like a foot surgery and stuff, and it really screwed me up. That's something else we can get into. Like, 2020, like I hiked 270 miles through the Sierra Nevadas, and it's a great story. I love to talk about it. But when I got back,
That's absurd.
I got plantar fasciitis
just
really
drop
bad.
that on us.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I got the best pictures, dude. I climbed Mount Whitney, which is the highest a mountain in the continental U.S. It's 14,508 feet. 18 days sleeping out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was like 18 of the best days of my life, other than not being close to my family. But I mean, talk about a life-changing experience.
And then the foot surgery, did that help kind of get into the cooking stuff? Because you're like, damn, I can't go on these hikes?
No, I've always loved to cook. I started cooking we moved in our current house in 2010. I bought a Weber kettle, and probably the white New Balances and the tongs came shortly after. But like getting in dad mode
and the jean shorts.
Yeah,
you gotta have the
bro. We love a good pair of jorts, bro.
Oh yeah.
But I had to, I started just like experimenting at home, like cooking steaks, and I saw a post last week of the first brisket I ever cooked, and like I'm still not close to an expert at brisket, but it's something I'm trying to get better at. I want to master it. And I'm a lot better than I used to be. But the first one I cooked it, and it was like 160 degrees. Well, that's when you wrap it, and I pulled it at that. And I was like, why is this thing so damn tough? I mean, like, but it's like, it's like you live and you learn, and I try to learn from my mistakes and get better. And nothing brings me more joy than cooking for someone and them genuinely enjoying it. You know, it's like that's the best. And food brings people together.
Yeah,
it really does.
Definitely does, because when we go out on the road, like we go to all these festivals and we do a bit, and we did it after Aldine put the song out without alluding to it. We called it "Try That in a Small Town" with Matt Burrill, because I'm like Yankee Doodle Dandy over here being from New York, and we do a lot of stuff going through like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, all these different places, and we'd pull up to some little pole dunk like meat and three. And I never talk negative about the thing, but we'd go in there and we just make content out of me eating the food in the small towns. And I'm no food expert at all,
right?
But the comfort food stuff is the absolute best. I love a good meat and three. Or I want to go to the little food or the little barbecue place that looks like it's a single wide trailer. Like I want to go to that little. And it's just like in New York where I come from. The best Chinese places are in the little fucking basements in Chinatown where you feel like you might die, but man, you're gonna eat good. Shout out to Wohop in New York and the places in Little Italy. There's something about that, like the appearance not being the best. Now, don't get me wrong, the 5-star stuff's cool too. But
those people take pride. That's their life, and they're like they take pride in that. So
I was just telling him, if you ever go to New York, when I was at Blair, northern New Jersey, our favorite pizza place after regionals was Spumoni Gardens.
Yep.
That was our favorite pizza place. And I was just telling Matt, because we got on the topic about pizza. I'm like, dude, I moved to Kentucky, being from Pennsylvania, go to high school in Jersey, spend a lot of time in New York. And I'm like, I come to Kentucky and I'm like, what is this pizza?
You better start eating chicken, boy.
I'm like, what is this pizza?
Yeah, it's not the pizza is. There's pizza that I like. Okay, there's not a lot of pizza that I love around Kentucky.
Yeah, I grew up at Blair with my best friend Marky Gray, who he was fighting out. Russell Cornell's brother's the head coach of Cornell. When his mom, Mrs. Gray yelled down, "Hey, I got M&S 2 down here. Come down and eat." I'm like, "Hey, I'm in," and I come down here and I'm like, I'm like, this isn't the best pizza.
See, Nashville's starting to have a really cool food scene.
Yeah.
Nashville's because everybody's coming from everywhere. So there's some good Italian places. There's places where you can go in, like the Chef and I, where you can order the chef's. You don't know what you're going to eat,
right?
But you pay that premium dollar, and the chef is a world-renowned chef who puts together a 5-course, 6-course thing for you and a date.
Right.
Urban Grub's great. Like you have all these different kind of styles of places. But that was the biggest thing for me coming down here was the pizza and the bagels. No more bagels.
Oh, yeah.
I was spoiled coming where I came from.
Right.
I had 4 bagel shops within walking distance.
Yeah.
They were all great.
Well, everybody in the house was super pumped when either you or Davey came home.
Yeah, dude. I'd go home.
Bring a haul.
Oh my gosh, dude, it was the best.
The bagel people would know when I'd come home because I'd pop in there when I first got home, get my bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup on the plain bagel.
I was Taylor Ham.
Yeah, you were Taylor.
Taylor Ham.
Your team Taylor Ham. In New Jersey, there's a big divide over what this breakfast meat is called. Central to southern New Jersey and Philly call it pork roll. The upper part of Central and northern into New York call it Taylor Ham.
It's unbelievable.
They fight about this shit.
It's unbelievable.
They fight about it.
Yeah.
There's a spot out here in Mount Juliet called Jersey Oven that does Taylor ham, like pork roll, egg and cheese. Like that's all they do.
Dude, I was just home in went back to Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Jersey at the end of June with my wife. And when I got to Marquee, because I went down to Lavalette for a few days.
The Jersey Shore, baby.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like I need a Taylor ham, egg and cheese. Like that's what I want. Right, like that's like for me, like that and the pizza is what I wanted when I went to Jersey. And I told Marky, I'm like, these are what I want because I don't get this, that, and then we got clams. We had clams as well. Like we don't down south, we don't. I'm big on the crawfish boil scene.
Yes.
So I have a huge crawfish boil every year. I told Matt, I was like, man, y'all got to come next year.
Let me know when it is.
Yeah,
and
I will.
We'll fucking come up
dude,
too.
it's 2 hours from here. My house is 2 hours.
You know now I'm gonna have to find some Taylor ham that I can order online and do it because it's gonna piss everybody
they
off in the
sell
comments.
it. Some of the Krogers and stuff carry it.
Yeah,
Really?
they do.
And like what they'll do in Jersey too is they'll call it a Trenton burger, where they put you put a couple layers of that stuff on top of a burger.
Right.
And that was because I went to college. I went to Ryder, which is right there in
Which
Trenton.
Ryder is a really good, has,
wrestling program. Yeah,
Chad the Walsh.
Yep.
You know Chad Walsh?
We know Chad. Shout out Chad Walsh.
Yeah.
But we they used to do a Taylor ham, or like they call it the Pork Roll Festival because it was technically Southern New Jersey. But they'd have like the Pork Roll Festival on my college campus. And there'd be like a mascot walking around, like a giant fucking Case's pork roll mascot. And it was just everybody just eating pork roll and stuff. But yeah, you should definitely. I might have to give you a little challenge of like a northeastern kind of thing.
Do it, man.
We've talked a little bit on the way down. I was telling him a little bit about like, like how where I'm from, how we do our Maryland blue crab, with the seasoning. And then I was telling him about like, you go to certain places that have the lump blue crab. Like my grandma's, she makes homemade lump blue crab cakes. But if you go to certain places in Jersey or wherever else, if it tastes like peppers, there's too much filler.
Yeah.
Like there's like, and we were just talking about this. It's kind of crazy, and like I said, it just the difference in the food from up there to down here.
Yeah, and that's been one of my favorite parts about touring the country is I've gotten to experience barbecue in all the different meccas.
Right.
I've gotten to have it in the stockyards in Fort Worth. I've gotten to have burnt ends in Kansas City, which to me are the best thing that Kansas City has is the burnt ends.
I had them a couple months ago.
Fantastic.
At Joe's, which is the original.
They're
it's like,
good.
oh, so good.
They're good. And then you go out to like Carolina and they do it a certain way with that. And I forget if they're
mustard, aren't
mustard,
they?
yeah,
Yeah,
mustard, and then like the Southeast does it differently, and everybody within the different states does like the barbecue differently. Or you'll get like good pizza. Like I had really good Italian food in fucking Salt Lake City, Utah.
Right.
My mind was blown at this place. It's like you come across all this different shit.
Well, that's like one of the biggest criticisms you get on there is like if I try to cook something Italian, I'm gonna get something in the comments like my grandmother's rolling over in her grave. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be authentic here. I'm trying to make something that tastes
that
good.
was the crab cakes. Whatever you were talking about, you're like, I have to put in there. It's from Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania recipe or something. He's like, I get hammered if I say it's a Kentucky blue crab or something.
Kentucky blue crab out of the lake.
Yeah,
out of the lake.
Listen, your grandmother might be rolling over in her grave because of your life choices, but she's not rolling over in her grave because of a dish. You know what I mean? It's like
I gave it my all. Like I'm not saying that this is where I'm from. Oh man.
Yeah, it's like if I do anything like I love like Mexican food. So if I do something like that, I got to be like a gringo cooking this.
That was the wildest thing about moving to the South. I thought there'd be a lot, and then obviously every small town in the South has their fast food alley where you've got a Hardee's next to a Sonic, next to a Mickey D's. Now you got Whataburger and In-N-Out and Raising Cane's out here and all this different stuff. But the amount of Mexican restaurants in this area, and I'm sure
Matt,
every southern town
in Union County, we have 5.
It's where
with one road that runs through our county. We have 5 in the county.
All former Pizza Huts.
Yeah, all former Pizza Huts.
No shit.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And they missed out. They didn't hold out long enough because now Pizza Hut's got the buffet back.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, they just
None
brought
of these
the buffet
restaurants
back.
are further than 3 miles from each other.
And they're all Mexican joints.
Every single one.
And they're probably all pretty busy. They all probably stay pretty consistent.
Not bad.
But they're all like I say like white people Mexican food basically.
Yeah.
Like it's not like authentic. So close to my house you have there's a Mexican restaurant. They have an authentic location and they have like I guess you would call it Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
And that's the one we go to because it caters more. Like, I don't love vegetables, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the authentic, like, that's like, you get the real deal in there. So if you like authentic Mexican food, you got a place to get it.
That's where you get the little street tacos and the things like that where it's different. I'm just looking for chicken, cheese, and rice and a good,
hey, man,
and a good
pollo playa, baby.
arroz con pollo.
Yeah, arroz con pollo y queso. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because we used to go to Mexican joints all the time when you were living down here.
My favorite was that food truck that was right there in that little strip mall, and it had like the vape shop here, and it was that
Antioch, bro.
It was but it was that food truck, but they had a certain dish that we all used to get, and I can't.
Yeah.
It was like it maybe was some kind of like sandwich or something.
Yeah.
If I remember, but man, that food truck.
Torta.
That's what it was.
The tortas.
Yeah, the
tortas, dude. Yeah, dude. Because Antioch, like you go to like Antioch or like South Nashville, and not the best area to be at night, but during the day, and I'd still go to some at night.
Yeah.
Like there was one place, I forget the name of it, but it was like a food truck and then like a trailer behind it.
Yes.
And it was all Latino people in there, so it'd be weird when one of us would go in there. We go in groups, and the soda was like the Jalisco or whatever,
yeah,
like the
good stuff,
yeah, like everything. And the menu was in Spanish. You had no idea what you were ordering, whatever. They had a thing on the menu called the Gringas, and they were just good street tacos, the shit that they knew we would like, you know.
Right.
So we would go in there, but the amount of food trucks, like taco trucks, that are in South Nashville and in Antioch is absurd. And then there was that one Mexican restaurant that all the famous people went to, like when Obama came here, he went there. Like all the presidents that have come through have gone to this one night, and it's still like everything's in Spanish, like it's very like authentico, but it's in the hood. So you're like, I can't imagine Obama and Secret Service in like 2010, like riding to and being like, I want to go there. It's like, what the fuck?
People freaking out.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Nashville's got a really cool food scene, dude. It's crazy to fucking see you again.
I know.
It's been, because I'm trying to think, when you first came down, you had the mullet.
Yeah, I had an 8-inch black mullet down to my shoulders.
You should have never let it go, man. No, it's coming back in.
You think the mullet's coming back? I think when Wallen shaved his, I mean, his hair's growing back longer.
It's very big in the wrestling scene.
Is it really?
Listen, here. All right, now that we're going down this
Is it
road,
really? Is it like the shaved in the side, like
Dude,
people
no,
are getting
no.
stripes and shit?
The 3 things, wrestling. Actually, 4 things. The nastiest things you are going to see in wrestling. You see the worst tattoos, like the absolute god.
What are yours? You've got
I don't
some,
have
right?
0 tattoos.
Really?
No tattoos. You see the worst tattoos, the nastiest mullets, the worst mustaches, and the worst cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
Those top 4. I'm telling you, go to I was just out in Fargo, North Dakota. There was 8,000 wrestlers that wrestled in a week that took on Fargo, North Dakota. It's been going on. I wrestled in it when I was in high school.
Yeah, I had buddies that went out there. Yeah,
everybody wrestles in Fargo. And it's the nastiest hair, the mullets, the mustaches, tattoos, and the cauliflower ear that you've ever seen. It's disgusting.
I like to add something to that, too. I tell my wife this all the time. There is nothing in the world nastier than a boy's bathroom after weigh-ins at a wrestling
that's
tournament.
true. Yeah, like if you I'm gonna go deep here. If you got a shit at a wrestling tournament as a coach or a parent or an athlete, if you do not get there before weigh-ins or the tournament starts, you're holding that sunbuck in the rest of the day. Because I mean, we're talking about crap on the floor. We're talking about puke
piss
on the
everywhere.
floor, piss everywhere, puke on the toilets. Wrestlers are absolutely disgusting, which leads into my next little part. As a heavyweight my entire life, heavyweight wrestlers get the rap that we stink, that they're nasty. That is one thing I have taken pride in as a heavyweight wrestler my entire life, is that I do not stink, because I've wrestled kids that like makes you want to throw up after a match. The wrestlers are disgusting. Between ringworm, infantigo, mat herpes, like it is terrible. It's disgusting.
It never fails. You'll go in the bathroom and you'll see a kid walk in. There'll be piss everywhere, and there's a kid walking in socks. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
What are you doing, kid?
Yes. That, and I'll even add another one to it, make it 6, is wrestling shoes and knee pads. Disgusting. And they're done within probably 2 weeks even getting brand new shoes. Wow. They're done. I mean, if practice, hard practices, and you're wringing out your shoes.
Yeah.
Like your knee pads, you're wringing them out.
Which a little bit of that too. I will say, like my son, he's going to wrestle 120 this year, so he'll have to cut some weight. So he'll literally be wrestling in like sweatpants and shorts and a sweatshirt. So he's got multiple layers of clothes on. So it's like he gets in the car and like you got all these nasty ass clothes. He's lost 3 pounds in practice, and it is a different kind of stink.
I had a buddy that lost, I think it was like 8 or 9 pounds during a day, and he was a little fella.
Yeah,
I feel for the little fella.
Yeah, we had some. We actually, I'm gonna give him a shout out. Stephen Little was he was a 3-time state champ for us. Went to Little Rock, Arkansas. He's our first ever Division I All-American from Union County.
Wow.
And that sucker would lose like 10 pounds of practice.
What was he weighing in at?
He's a 197-pounder. Dude, hey, like it's unbelievable. Like him and that whole Little Rock, Arkansas, what they're doing down there is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Stephen Little, and we've had a ton of Division I wrestlers, like from Union County. But Stephen was our first Division I All-American this year.
Super cool. It was my son's Christmas gift. We got to watch it in person from like 50 feet away.
Wow.
So as soon, I don't know Stephen personally, but I took a picture and I sent it to him on Instagram. I was like, dude, it was so awesome when they raised his hand. I mean, it was super cool.
Pretty cool. And then we have 2 twins that wrestle for us.
Oh.
And the one, Jordan Rainey, won a world championship last year over in Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey. And him and his twin brother, both.
You're sending kids international.
Listen to this. Both of them, just in end April in Vegas, both made the Greco World Team, U17 World Team, both together. Wow. And then JJ bumped up, and they both made the Freestyle World Team Trial Finals, and both had to wrestle each other in the finals to make the World Team spot. So they leave in a couple weeks to go over to Amman, Jordan, which is a hot spot right now. So yeah, it's wild, just kind of navigating through. But Union County and what the program is doing is unbelievable. Which we were talking about before we jumped on here was me jumping on that Instagram with you a while back, and we were just talking about wrestling and just kind of my life and where I was at. And then, and all this started with Robert Irvin. Robert, they own Irvin Cable Construction, the hat I'm wearing. They own the company, and Robert took the part of took over wrestling, a while back. And dude, it's unbelievable who have came through this program and went and wrestled Division I. And then we've won 7 out of the last 8 years of state titles.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Dynasty.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Flow Wrestling, which Flow Wrestling.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So Flow's wanting to come down this year and do a dual. They're calling it like Nights Across America. They want to come down and bring a crew with them and videotape or watch our live duel, and then they'll go to a college the next night. Like, dude, it's crazy. We only have like 550 kids in our entire high school.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah, really. Yeah. And we're catching that traction, and it's been there. Like, we've been there. Kentucky doesn't get a lot of, praise for the state of wrestling, but what Union County is doing and the morals and the values and what we're instilling in these kids, and they're going on to work. It's not like they're just getting done wrestling and then that's it. Like they're able to go get good jobs, and they're wrestling Division I.
Discipline.
Dude, it's wild, man. But it all started in this little county with the Irvin family. That it started back, the brothers that started, they basically started this program. And then I moved down. This year was my 10th year doing camp. I came down 2014 was my first year. Moved down 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, just jumping around. Like, I came from the best program in the country, from Blair Academy in New Jersey. I was, not to toot my own horn, I was the best wrestler in the country coming out of my weight class. Yeah. And then it's like, I go to these national tournaments now with coaches that recruited me or wrestlers I grew up with, and they're like, are you still in Kentucky? I'm like, yeah, it's 7 years. Like, I love it down here. And what we're doing with the program is unbelievable. And then I meet guys, like Matt and his family. And then I find out this dude's like super famous. So I'm like hollering over, like, dude, I'm like,
I wish I'd like to be famous someday.
I'm like, Cooker Deliciousness. I'm like, his name's Matt. Like, I'm like, that's not his name. Like, this is who I'm hanging out with, but it's just crazy. The whole entire thing is wild of how life just brings you full circle. And like I said, like when he hollered at me coming down here, jump on here with you guys, I was like, dude, I'm like, you have no idea. I'm like, I was with Matt all the time, man. Like, we work together all the time. Like, every weekend I could come down and work. I worked 3 days in a row.
And we would love when he would come down, because if something happened, we had a big rig, and we had some dogs.
Right.
At Whiskey. I was a day shifter, so I wasn't there for all the craziest shit.
Yeah,
I was there for some of it, but when we had rig, like, things were handled.
Well, here's what happened. Here's what happened, because we said we have a really good friend. His name's Taz, and Taz. If I always say, if there's somebody that I know can scrap, like, I'm not ever afraid of somebody, but I respect them. You respect Taz,
yes.
Like,
and he's from Kentucky. I believe he's from Bowling Green.
Yeah, Taz is from, he was actually a cheerleader at Western Kentucky and he's a bad dude, bad mamma jamma.
Bowling ball,
like. Yeah. Like, I mean, but like I said, Taz has come up quite a few times and stayed with me up in Kentucky. Great dude. But my first night working, they're like, you're with Taz. And I'm like, all right. I was like, so I'm up on like the second floor up on the stage.
The boom boom room.
Yeah, the boom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The DJ room.
So I'm up on the stage and Taz is standing down, and I'm nervous because like I know what I can do to somebody. But I feel like I don't get in trouble if I can, like, I have a reason why I can put my hands on somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I just see like a light out like this, and I feel like a tug on my jeans, and Taz just like looks up at me and he's like, Rig, let's go. And Taz, like, awesome dude, but looks like he will kill anybody. So Taz like looks at me, he's like, let's go. So next thing I know, it's like a full-on brawl. Like, everything's going on. I'm like looking, and our buddy Ethan, who we had mentioned, Ethan's like, Rig, he's like, we got crowd control. This dude's like trying to jump in. I like grab him, put him in like an arm bar, I'm like trying to break his arm. Long story short, this whole thing like gets broken up. Taz gets sent home for being Taz. Taz goes home. We're upstairs. All these security guards, which I thought like I was a big dude, and I'm like around all these like juice heads.
Oh, dude, Kurt,
he's an awesome dude. The nicest guy you ever meet.
Competes in bodybuilder.
Okay.
Awesome guy. Dude's gigantic, like 40-inch biceps. Like, can't even like scratch his own back, but unbelievable guy. Like most like down to earth dude you ever meet. One of my favorite people.
Yeah, but if you don't know that in the moment, you know not to fuck around in the bar.
Yeah, it's not good.
That guy, yeah.
So we're upstairs, and there's all these dudes that are taller than me and all that stuff. But like in my head, I'm like, I know for a fact that it's gonna be a bad day. So we're upstairs, and our GM at the time is like taking his hat off, like throwing it down, yelling at us that we're gonna get a bad rap. We're gonna be like, I forget what the other bar was that was getting in trouble or something. And he's like, you guys think you guys are all these badasses, and you think you could just come up here and hot-headed, and you're going to do this, and da-da-da-da-da. He's like, I want to see you guys think you can take everybody. And Ethan, like, so nonchalantly, he, like, raises his hand. He's like, yeah, I'm going to be honest. He's like, I wouldn't mess with Big Rig. he's like, he's crazy. He's like, I wouldn't do it. And like all these other dudes, like, it was my first night, and all these, I'm like sitting there like in the back. I'm like, man, I don't know any of these guys. And all these other big they're all freaking huge. They're like looking at me like this. And Ethan's like, no, really, like seriously, like I'm telling you, like, do not mess with him. So our GM, he's like, what? Because you think you're just some wrestler? And Ethan's like, he's not just some wrestler. Like, that's not how this is going.
Yeah.
So
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah. So that was my first night at Row. That I'm like, dude, like this is in, man. I was in. It was so fun, and I was going down. I think it was like 8 or 9 months, almost every weekend. I was down with you guys.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the couch, sleeping in Matt's bed when he was gone. I'm like, hey Matt, are you there this weekend? He's like,
Yeah,
no, I'm gone. Stay in the bed.
I was on the road selling Porch Swing Angel T-shirts for Muscadine.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, that was right when they were really starting to take off. Wasn't it?
I was with them, and then COVID hit, and then I became buddies with Trey Lewis, and all the Dick Down in Dallas stuff happened, and I got to be a big part of that.
Which was wild. If you remember, you kind of told us about. Remember, I forget how it worked out.
Yeah.
But basically, you told, because we still had the group, and basically everybody was still in it, and you kind of told us like, dude, this is about to blow up.
Yeah.
And we're all like, I don't remember how, we might have saw it on TikTok or something, and we had heard it or seen it, or you said something to us about it. You were like, this is gonna take off, and then like overnight, dude, Dick Down in Dallas was like,
now I got a platinum plaque for fucking Dick Down in Dallas.
Which was
Shout
wild.
out Trey. Yeah.
Which is how, like I said, man, like he was talking about John Morgan, who we all would go to the bar, and John was like super quiet.
I remember John
short hair,
just coming over the house and just being the guy at the party that would sit and play the guitar.
Right.
You know, just
but like didn't mind that guy. Right?
And he was really, and that was when he first moved to town. Short hair dude.
Yeah.
Hadn't met Aldine yet, because now he's been over with Jason and works over there with all of his stuff, and it's absurd, like, to see where everybody's gone, dude.
Yeah.
And now you're married with kids.
Just had my second MMA fight.
We got to talk about that. So you had retired from your playing career and had moved into coaching, and the fulfillment of that, you're clearly passionate about it, and what you and the guys are building in Union County, and what your alums are doing, and what parents like Matt are thinking, like, you're killing it over there. How does all this MMA stuff get going? Like,
so
how did that? Because you've had what? You've had one, two.
I've had two. Yeah, I've had two, and was just offered another one. So I get out. I'm done wrestling, whatever. But like, I didn't have a great college career. It was okay, couple-time qualifier, but it just wasn't what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I've always liked MMA. Like, I've always liked fighting. So Marky Gray, who we had talked about, like every time that Marky was fighting, I would get into the beverages a little bit, and I'm like, he would fight, he'd whoop ass, and then I'd look at my wife, and I'm like, I'm doing this. And she's like, talk to me in the morning. Next morning, she's like, you still want to fight? I'm like, nah, not really. So his last fight he had before he turned pro, and this was 2 years ago, I think it was, he's like, he fights, same thing. She's like, talk to me in the morning. And our heavyweight, his dad's our MMA coach, Nate Manis, who's with the UFC. Nate trains out of Morganfield, and Brad has a gym. And so I text Brad, And I'm like, and so the next morning she's like, do you want to do this? And you still want to fight? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I text Brad and he's like, yeah, come on in, man. I was 294 pounds. Started training end of December. Got back from Christmas break. Started training within like a month and a half. I was already down like 25 pounds.
Wow.
Was training 4 nights a week, running it like 2 times a week. Because I was getting myself, I guess if I'm going to do this, like I'm going all in. So I quit drinking, like was doing everything right. And I had 7 different opponents that backed out. And so the MMA world, they're not as tough as you think. The dudes who like the lower level, like amateur, they say they want to fight. And then like what happens is they give them my name. And it's not just me, it's other wrestlers.
Yeah.
They give the name, they look it up, and then like, no.
There's a lot. It's a different mentality than the college, high school wrestler
like you
mentality.
pick, like you basically pick who you want. So LFA, which is the 3rd largest promotion in the world, came to Owensboro, Kentucky, which is where Matt's from, which is 45 minutes from us.
Yeah.
So I was the only amateur fight on the card. So they had a guy actually who they called, and then the guy, and Brad called me. He's like, hey, they got a guy for you. He calls back the next day after he looks me up, and he's like, absolutely not, I'm not fighting that guy. Because of my background, you look up my name, and my wrestling comes up. So they found a guy from Africa, from Senegal.
Oh.
So his name's Badu Zaki.
Badu Zaki.
This dude's built like freaking Hercules.
Yeah.
Dude is gigantic, right? He's been training MMA for a couple years.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, we'll take the fight. Like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I sell tickets, dude. I ended up making pretty good money. And through amateur, you don't get a purse, but you get for sponsorships and ticket sales. So I go to fight this guy. We get the weigh-ins, and we're the first face-off. This dude, he is like remember Shiva from like he had like everything cut, but this long ass like ponytail down the back.
Oh wow.
Has this ring on. We're standing there, and I told Brad, I said, if he does something stupid, I'm grabbing him before weigh-ins. And it's just me and him in the weigh-ins. Yeah. And he has this whole posse from Senegal. He lives in Atlanta. So we line up, and he reaches across. It's actually on his Instagram, and he puts his ring up into my face and drives my face up. And I grab him by his wrist, and I point him, and I say, we ain't doing that, old partner. So he's like, I'm going to fuck you up. I hope you bring your family. And then smacks me across the face with his flag.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So Brad, my coach, like, it's just me and him with all these other gigantic dudes.
Yeah.
And we're talking smack at the weigh-ins, and we're trying to leave. And he's like, just kept staring at us. So we get to the fight. Long story short, I have the huge scar here now, but I got illegally headbutted. They didn't see it.
Oh,
so
shit.
I got they called it TKO because I went down like blood. I mean, it was everywhere. I had 10 stitches. I was it was completely split open. Couldn't see anything. So they called the fight. It was amateur anyway. An amateur, they want you to be able to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
So they call it a TKO. So
absurd.
I got that itch out, right? Like that. I was like, all right, that's cool. Like I'm good. And then the competitiveness in me, I'm like, absolutely not. So we found out. I guess it was. Anna Lee was born, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm doing one more. I was like, there's no way I'm having an 0-1 record. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, end of, I guess it would have been the fall. I talked to Brad, and I was like, I'm doing one more. I got one more. So Brad talks to this place, SICP in Evansville. They're a regional promotion, but they do a really good job. So I tell Brad, and he reaches out to me. He's like, hey, you got this guy. He's 2-2. His name's TJ Johnson. He's from Terre Haute, Indiana. He's like, you want to fight him? I watched him. I was like, yeah, I'll fight him. So, because he basically, like I said, if we don't want to fight him, they just keep going through different people. They call different gyms.
Ends, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll fight him. So once again, back into training, dude. Got back down to 250. So Uncle Robert, who I was talking about, didn't get to be. I told him if I was going to fight again, I said, you have to be in this corner because you were supposed to be in my first one, which will be Brad and Uncle Robert in my corner. You get 2 for amateur. So we're in the back warming up, dude. And like I had worked on my triangle choke like the last 2 weeks of camp because I kept getting into it off my takedowns. And I talked to Brad, and he's like, here's the game plan. You're going to 1-2, get him up against cage. Either if you don't get him against cage, single leg, pick him up, slam him, and get to your triangle choke. Dude, it could have played out anymore, right? So I won every tournament there was to win in the country. And that fight, I picked him up literally above the cage, and I slammed him. And I go to ground and pound. And I didn't get to be on top of Badu before, but I'm ground and pounding this dude. I'm missing. Like, your adrenaline, like, I'm trying to hit. So he jumps over my head with his arm. I jump to this triangle choke, and I could see his hand doing this. And as soon as he tapped, I've never had an adrenaline rush in my entire life. I've never felt that before. And like I said, I've won a lot of wrestling.
Yeah.
That adrenaline rush is the craziest thing I've ever felt, dude. Like, I was like on cloud 9.
It's absurd.
It was the craziest thing, right? So here's the best part of this. So we get back, and here's what's awkward. So, and you're in the back in these regional promotions. You have 2 medical doctors that are checking you out. So the guy I just fought, and me and him are as close as me and Matt looking at each other. And I'm like, man, I was like, be honest. I was like, was it that tight? He's like, hell yeah. He's like some country. Come to find out, he was a Aryan Brotherhood guy.
Oh.
Like found out from a guy who from our gym, like saw his tattoos and stuff, like had like demons all over him and shit, like kind of wild. But he's super nice. But he's like, I'm like, was it that tight? And he's like, hell yeah. I was like, well, I couldn't tell if it was. He goes, yeah. He goes, I was thinking about fighting it, and he's like, the shit kept getting tighter. He's like, so I tapped. He's like, I wasn't about to, because we had a huge crowd. Union County showed up at that one and this one.
Oh,
the entire
nice.
wrestling team.
That's awesome.
Like, it was crazy.
Hell yeah.
So he's like, well, I wasn't about to pass out and then like shit myself or something in front of your crowd. He's like, so I was like, screw this.
Good choice.
And his coach, who has been in the MMA game forever, was like talking shit on Facebook leading up. And I'm not one to post on and like talk crap to me. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
So his coach was like, let's effing go, TJ. He's like, let's show this wrestler that you can't wrestle when you're unconscious. Like, I literally wrestled him. I literally wrestled this dude to beat him.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, man, I ain't never seen nobody do this to TJ before. Da, 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 da. So Uncle Robert, who's he's in the Hall of Fame for wrestling.
Yeah.
Never been in the background, never been into MMA. Dude, his mind was blown. I was like, how was it? And he said he didn't call it a fight the entire time. He's like, country man. He calls an altercation. He said, he's like my best friend. Like I said, I call him my uncle. Him and his brothers, I call my uncles. Went to school with his kids. So he's like, I was all right till we got to that cage and I saw you about to get into an altercation with him. And so we were in the back and we get done and he's like, don't do another fight. We get done fighting. He's like, man, you got to do another one. So come to find out, I go into Brad. We got a Illinois golf outing. Saw him this week. The guy who runs SCIP is doing an interview with Nate and another guy out of our gym because he's fighting October 5th. And he's like, hey, we got an offer for you. We want you to fight October 5th. I'm like, my wife's in there. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, dude, no. I'm like, I can't do October. He's like, what about the spring? He's like, I'll save this guy for the spring. And I'm like, we leave. My wife's like, are you doing another one? I'm like, if you're all right with it, I might do one more. So
last one, I promise.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
It's just that adrenaline rush just keeps you going.
Yeah, dude, it's the craziest thing I've ever felt. It's wild. It's unbelievable.
Have you been to one of these yet?
I haven't been. We were out of town whenever he had his last fight, so we didn't make it. So no, I've never been to a fight. Like actually, jiu-jitsu is what led us to wrestling. Though is my son started it in 2017, and I started it with him so we could do it together. And I basically did it for 3 years. I got my blue belt, and then I quit training jiu-jitsu to get ready for that hike in California. And when I got back, never went back because of the foot. And
yeah,
I'd like to get back to it. I'm definitely in a better place mentally whenever I'm there. It's like it's really good for you, man.
I've never done any of the MMA stuff. Never done.
MMA is a different animal, though. I mean, like,
or just the training of like any kind of martial arts. Like never practiced any of it, and or done any of it. So maybe one day, but I don't know.
Well, I'm 44 years old, so man, I'll tell you what. You talk about hurting the next day. It's like it's one of those things you got to do every day, or else like it's rough on you.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and that's ultimately why now having another one on the way. And I was training 4 nights a week, so I taught high school.
Yeah,
get up at 6 o'clock, teach high school till 3. Then we got wrestling practice till 5:30, and then I go train till 7:30 and get home. And my daughter's going to bed in 30 minutes, and my wife's like, this is like 4 nights a week, which she's not from an athletic background at all. Her family, her dad's the judge executive in the county, in Washington County, and are cattle farmers. They raise Simmental cattle. Like she went, me traveling around wrestling in the country, she went around to nationals showing cattle, walking them around. So she's like, totally like, I'm supportive of you, but at the same time, like, homie, you're a dad and a husband. Like,
it's wild. That's wild, dude. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all. Now, what do we have to look forward to? I see you got some merch. Thank you for the hat over there. The patch.
Likewise.
Those Richardson 112s are. We always say they're a country boy's favorite hat. People down south love the Richardsons.
Urban Cable, baby.
And Urban Cable. So what's going on with Cooker of Deliciousness? What do we have to look forward to on the page and just with you in general?
Just trying to continue to grow and basically, I tell you, like, I've been doing it full time for almost a year now, and it's the main reason I want to go full time is to watch my kids grow up. When my kids are out of high school, I'll do whatever I got to do. But like I've never missed a wrestling match. I don't want to miss one. My daughter cheers. I'm not missing any of that.
Yeah, being a dad first is very
dad
important,
first,
dude.
and
They'll never forget that.
Right.
You know, there's something powerful about that.
Yeah. And like I work with a couple of grill companies. I work with Primo Ceramic Grills, which is funny you said Jason Aldean. I had the opportunity to cook for him, and I think Hank Williams Jr., Travis Tritt, Kid Rock.
Oh, at the Rock the Country?
They invited me to come,
Country.
but that's when I was out there with Travis and Rhonda. So I didn't get to do it. But I know that there'll be more opportunities like that. I just started working with Rec Tech Pellet Grills out of Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah, we go to so many fucking festivals, and we're so involved in different, like, we do 10 to, remember I used to do 2 events a month?
Yeah.
Now we do 10 to 12 a month with Raised Rowdy. It's absurd.
Yeah.
In Nashville.
I feel like then, like the 2, it was like, man, I got 2, and now you're like, I got 10.
Dude, it's crazy. But if there's ever an opportunity that we could somehow, one of the festivals that we're at, because we go all across the Midwest, and give you an opportunity to come out and do content with artists and be able to like hang out backstage and just grill up your creations, and you can bring him for head of security. You know, that's like we bring my buddy. That's like we bring my buddy Alex Holum comes out to events. He's a personality on social media and stuff. He brings out a big guy named Plenty is, I think his name's Mike, but he's a big, large black man that does security for a lot of rappers in the Midwest, like Tech Nine and all these guys. And Plenty just hangs out with them the whole time. You can bring a big rig. Yeah, you bring a big rig. Bring a big rig. We'll give you guys some cigars. You'll sit there, smoke a cigar, and fucking just make sure nobody fucks with you or the grill.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I am all about it.
And he can drink cold beer with us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's this has led to so many experiences that I never would have had.
That's the best
otherwise.
part,
It's
dude.
great.
That's how I feel with where I started. I was a bouncer at fucking Whiskey Row, and
Dude, that's what I think is making it so exciting being here, dude. Like I was telling Madeline, like, dude, like I literally was like with them when like Matt would like have to leave because he had to go do whatever it was. But I'm like, we were in this like house, and like the one area was like the studio, and it's nothing like that. Like I walked in, like, dude, this is unbelievable.
It was a garage that was turned into a room in a shitty house in Laverne, Tennessee, and it was weird. But we had
with
some cool
super
stuff
weird neighbors,
with incredibly weird, odd neighbors in a cul-de-sac, and we used to stay up and do all kinds of stupid shit. I wasn't in a fraternity when I was in college at Ryder, but when my first couple years in Nashville, I felt like I was in a fraternity, working at Whiskey Row, all the Dick Down in Dallas stuff, like being with the guys, you know. But like you said, it's wild the opportunities that come from this.
Yeah.
Like I never thought like that. I remember watching Raised Rowdy, and I never thought I'd be the owner of it or be on the road. Like I used to go to a bunch of concerts and be out in a tour manager and doing all the different things that I've gotten to do.
Yeah,
just like
100%.
you never thought you'd be hanging out with fucking Ronda Rousey cooking up Wagyu.
Dude, I tell you, like
it's absurd.
I'll probably never meet him, but it was just super cool. And it's minuscule, really. But like Joe Rogan followed me on Instagram.
Oh,
I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Shout out Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
You're definitely not going to watch this.
The
but.
dude, I freaking love those podcasts, man. Like,
yeah,
you know. So, that was like it's just super cool, and it's probably my favorite thing about it is my son loves wrestling. All these wrestlers, I'll follow them, and a lot of them follow me back. And my son thinks that's super. So it makes me look like a cool dad.
Wrestlers like
big time, like
college wrestlers and stuff.
Like
school,
I didn't know if you had any like random WWE things.
Well,
no. Gable Stevenson. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
Gable,
cool.
Gable, I've chatted with him a couple times. He sent my son a video last year for his 16th birthday. Told him happy birthday. Super nice guy. We know Bo Bartlett from Penn State.
Yeah.
One of the classiest, nicest kids you've ever met. Drake Ayala from Iowa actually sat next to his dad at the NCAA finals last year, and we became buddies.
That might be where we do the festivals in Iowa. We do Iowa, Ohio, Michigan. We're going to Michigan tomorrow morning. Long ass drive. It's like 10-something hours.
Now,
I'm
which
pulling
one's
a truck.
that?
Tailgate and Tall Boys.
Yeah.
So those.
So there's one in Peoria though, right?
Yeah.
Is it just kind of like how country? There's different locations now?
They've expanded. So the people that run it's called USA Concerts. It's our buddies Wayne Klein, Austin Jones, and a few other guys. They own a club in West Peoria called Cruisin's. That's a bar venue, and then they got into doing the festivals a few years back, and they do Clinton, Iowa. Bloomington, Illinois. It's in Bloomington now, and then Midland, Michigan. And they have me on stage emceeing.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
So I'm up there. The first one in Clinton was Shinedown, Bailey Zimmerman, and Jelly Roll, and then like 4 or 5 openers each day. The one in Illinois was absurd. It was Cody Johnson, Eric Church, Bailey Zimmerman, Riley Green, then a full side stage and 4 openers each day. The one this weekend is Jelly Roll, Warren Zeiders, Alexandra Kay, our buddies from Lakeview, Tucker Wetmore, Quinn 92 is like a big pop
Is Jelly
act.
Roll as big as he looks on TV?
Dude, he's fucking massive.
Is he tall?
He's probably like an inch or two taller than me and just very wide. But when he walks in a room, he has this presence where there's certain guys like that's where I've gotten to meet a lot of different artists and see artists on their way up, like folks that we had at Live Oak when they were first starting. Like I had Bailey. I would have never thought that Bailey Zimmerman would be Bailey Zimmerman. I thought his shit was cool, but I would have had no idea, like he was just a kid that would play around. Dylan Marlowe, Ella Langley, Meg Maroney, all these different people.
Ella Langley right now, dude, she is taking over TikTok.
So she is like our little sister. When I was with Trey, she was Trey's roommate for a very, very, very long time. So when I was sending you guys in the Snap group about Trey was living with Ella and some other folks. We called it the Alabama house because there were 4 people all from Alabama. And Ella used to travel around with us during the Dick Down in Dallas days. It'd be 10 of us in a van, like Trey, the band, our sound guy, our lighting guy, me, and we'd have Ella with us, and she'd open the show acoustic, play 30 minutes to kick off the night, and she'd stay up and party with everybody and hang, and she was like our little sister. So to see what she's doing now is wild. But there's certain people that like they walk in a room and they're like they have it. Like Zach Top, when we had him on one of the other podcasts, and we got to smoke cigars with him for like an hour, 2 hours after, and we were like, all right, this guy has it. Like he commands a room when he's in the room. Right. Jelly Roll has that, not just because of his stature, but he's just such a fucking nice guy. And
he looks like the nicest guy.
And he has a big security crew with him. They're really nice guys. Shout out to Bozeman and Maui, and he's got like some great dudes. Like it's cool. But yeah, if we can figure out an event that we're doing, a festival, whether it's in the Midwest, the Southeast, or if we end up doing our own Raise Rowdy festival one day, which could be really fucking cool, we would love to find a way to have Cooker of Deliciousness and a big rig there. We'll find something for him to do.
Yeah.
Not hard.
We'll bring him on stage. We'll give him the T-shirt cannon or something. Have him firing out T-shirts or have him.
Hey, he can help me cook. You can't have too many hands with that, too.
Yeah, I figure it's a team operation. Does help.
I'm getting ready to buy a bigger smoker, like pull behind, so I can do more.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pull behind smoke.
Sounds like you might get that thinking cap on a little sooner.
Or get you if we end up doing something down here that's like an outdoor thing or somewhere, and we could get you down here. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool to have you come out and do something, introduce you to different artists and folks in the community.
Love it.
Everybody loves good food, man.
Yeah,
everybody loves good food. Yeah. So, dude, I appreciate you guys coming out. We're gonna go to a place right now called Nadine's. I think it's Nadine's something heaven. And it's like all day, they do all day breakfast, and they have the best fucking cheesesteaks in Nashville, Tennessee.
Menu looks amazing.
Oh,
check out the menu.
It's a good spot. On the weekends, it takes forever to get in there, but at 11 o'clock on a fucking Wednesday,
we might be in the hunt.
We should be golden, baby.
Yeah,
we should be golden. Well, where can people go to follow you guys and keep up with you if they're not following you already?
I'm Cooker of Deliciousness on all social media. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are the big ones. My YouTube hasn't taken off yet.
Same, dude. Same.
I don't
for
know
us.
what it is. I can't get it to take off.
It's weird. It's a whole different thing.
But if you just want to see a regular guy cooking and drinking beer and doing stupid stuff, then I'm the guy.
And dogs drinking water.
Dogs drinking water.
What about you, Rig?
For me, Brooks Black on Instagram and Facebook. But I'd say really, if you want to follow some cool stuff, follow Union County Wrestling.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm just a coach who enjoys fighting a little bit, but if you really want to follow something that's really taken off even more than it has years past is Union County Wrestling. Yeah. That's where you can find us. And I'll put something on our Instagram too where you can see our page. But man, it's pretty incredible.
Awesome. Well, agreed. I appreciate the hell out of you guys making this trip down here.
I appreciate you having me.
Let's go eat some good fucking food.
Sounds awesome.
Y'all be sure to check out our boys Matt and Brooks, Cooker of Deliciousness, Brooks Black, Union County Wrestling, and give them a follow. Be on the lookout. If you're in Kentucky, I want to get to one of these. I saw you guys at the tournament here in Nashville.
Yeah, the Father Ryan.
I want to come up to a fucking duel because the dual meets at some of there were certain high schools that you go to where it's like you got to see a football game here. Back home, you got to see a lacrosse game here. If it's the right environment and the people love, eat, breathe, sleep wrestling, I want to get up to Union County. And
I'll cook for you if you come up,
dude. With Nikki T and I might have to do that.
Yeah,
I'll bring Nikki T.
Here's what we could do: is I can figure out a time like when to come up, have him, and then have him cook, and you guys can just stay with us. You know what I mean? Hang out with us in Union County, And then this year coming up, you and Nikki T come up to the Crawfish Bowl, dude.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
Like, I'm telling you, it's
we'll bring our
wild.
content guy too. We'll get a bunch
Yeah,
of content.
seriously,
This year we'll do it. We'll do a collab.
That'd be great, yeah.
This year we cooked 2 sacks of crawfish, which is 60 pounds, and we do a huge bonfire at night.
crawfish.
Yeah, it's fun. We get music blaring. We caution off the driveway. We have the "You Honk, We Drink" sign out front.
Hell yeah.
You know, so like I said, we put a banner up. It's
Hell
a
yeah.
bunch of people from Union County, and yeah, like I said, I'll let you know too when the dates are on that. But me and Matt already talked about him maybe possibly even cooking too, just doing some meats and stuff while I do the crawfish.
A little assortment.
Yeah, not everybody eats Cajun food, so
Yeah.
Food brings people together.
Amen. It really does. Well, thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to visit raiserowdy.com. Like, rate, subscribe, tell your mama, and then we will see you next time. For my man Matt and my man Brooks, I'm Matt Burrill. This has been Outside the Round.